Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Trivet Knots. I'm John. This is, as promised, the next episode, the second episode of We're Not Talking. So here you go. A number of months ago, well, 8 or 9 months ago, kind of made an announcement that Skip Hipps was making this ridiculous frame for the Chief of Naval Operations. And about a week and a half ago or so, I got a phone call, and Skip and I talk every week anyway, so that wasn't a surprise. But what was a surprise was he said, "Hey man, I need a really big favor." And I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "I have seriously injured my back again." This is an ongoing thing from 40 years ago when he broke his back in a naval incident out in California. Anyway, his back is so bad that he really can't continue to complete this frame, and he asked me to help him and finish it for him. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit, and some other things.
I was sitting at home one day working on lanyards, and the company that I sold them to, the Bosun Locker out in San Diego, Bill calls me, and he goes, "Skip, I just had a request." Now, he's a really large supplier of stuff to the fleet.
Okay.
And he says, "I just got a call from the Pentagon, and you're the only person that I know that can do this. And would you be interested?" And I said, "Well, what's that?" And he goes, "The Office of the Chief of Naval Operations wants his official flag to be depicted in knots to hang either in the hallway or in his office." And I said, I thought about it, and I said, "Well, yeah, I can make a picture frame for the flag." And he goes, "Oh no, they want the flag out of knots as well." And I said, "Okay." I said, "What size do they want it?" "Well, the flag has to be 3 foot by 4 feet." And I'm thinking, oh, that's a lot of macrame. And then I realized, no, I'm not going to do macrame. And I said, "Well, let me think about it, and I'll get back to you." So I sat down that night, and I went through a number of knot books I have, trying to find the right Senate to do the flag. The frame I wasn't worried about, but the flag was the stickler. And then I looked back at other things I've done, and I saw Swordmatic, and I thought, boom, that's it. I called him back, and I said, now at that point I didn't have the ankle loom.
Right.
Hold on. I called him back, and I said, "Yeah, Bill, I can do it." And he says, "Okay, interface with the chief in the office." So I called the chief, and I talked to him. I gave him a price that was not based on the work, but based on the privilege, because quite honestly, if they had asked me to do it for free, I'd have jumped at the chance just to have my name on that piece, because at that point I was having trouble with my back, and I knew that was going to be the last major piece I ever do. So I gave him a price, and he says, "Okay, how long will it take?" And I said, 6 months at a minimum. I do not know. And I got started on it. And the first thing I worked on, realizing that the frame is the least of my worries, but that flag, it was a terror. And once I got the ankle loom designed and knocked out the Swordmatic, then I was off to the races. And as I progressed, I was having more and more problems with my back. There would be weeks that I couldn't work, couldn't sit there. But I can't lean over a table, either sitting down or standing up, to put this thing together.
Frankly, as you and I both know, they're sort of a pain in the butt to make. But I mean, and that's I think the biggest thing that connect us is that we love making Senate frames.
Oh yeah.
And there are a handful of us out there that have enjoyed doing it. Saw one and said, "That's me. I got to do that." And Pat Spearing and Jesse Eves at some point. I think he discovered it the same way you did through Grammont and Hensel's Encyclopedia of Knots and Fancy Rope Work, because I know he had that book early on. and discovered them that way.
That was my first not work Bible.
Yeah. So, for what it's worth, about a week ago, I got a call from Skip, and he said, "John, I need you to do a tremendous favor for me. Will you hear me out?" And I said, "Sure, man. Whatever you need." He goes, "I have," and he told me a story about being at the VA and his back went kaflooey to the point where they had to give him morphine.
Yeah, in the doctor's office.
In the doctor's office. And unfortunately, he was there when it happened, but he has serious back issues. And he said, will you finish this frame for me? And I said, sure. You know, I mean, it's a big undertaking because what's been done so far, we have the physical wooden frame in pieces. And we have a bunch of Senate that's been tied for it, and
30,
we have
30 pounds of Senate.
Yeah, so it's a major undertaking. I'm very honored to be considered. So there's going to be some of my input on the but the great thing is that you guys are going to get to watch this this process as content over the next month and a half, 2 months, whatever it takes.
Yep.
And so I'm excited. And I'm honored to be considered capable of doing it and kind of handing it off. And
John, when I made the decision to turn this frame over to you, you know, we all face hard decisions in life. But when I realized I couldn't do this, all things considered, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
First time we did this little interview thing for the We're Not Talking deal, and you said, this is the biggest frame I ever made. Oh, actually, there's another one. That's another story.
Yeah.
So what the heck is that story? What's that one?
Oh, this was back in '74,
Right.
between cruises. My wife and I were visiting her uncle out in San Diego, and he had this huge, monstrous yacht. And I tie knots. We're sitting there, I guess first day that we were there. I said, Ken, would you like some coasters? Knot work coasters? And he really didn't know what I was talking about. I mean, he's humoring me, you know, I'm a sailor, he's a rich guy. And he goes, yeah. So I used Navy white line, which is like a little slightly less than 1/4 inch cotton. And I made a dozen flattened 5-strand Turk's Head coasters.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved it. But I'm sitting out on deck tying these coasters, and the guy in the boat next door, or in the next berth, bigger than Ken's, he walks over and he goes, what you doing? Or something like that. I said, I'm making coasters. He goes, would you like to do something for me? I said, and I'm looking at the guy, and this light bulb came on. I said, well, yeah. He goes, well, are you really good? Can you do this? Because evidently he was familiar with the art. And I said, yeah, I'm pretty good. So he took me over to his boat, along with my wife. She was speechless. We go over there, and he takes me to what he referred to as the Grand Salon on the boat, which was a pretty big space, and it had one basically bare wall. There were a couple of pictures on it, but it was a bare wall. And he says, can you do a knot board? And I said, well, yeah. And he goes, I want one right there. I want it to cover that wall. And I looked at that wall. I said, well, sir, that'd be at least 4 foot by 8 foot. And he goes, that's about what I want. And he says, can you do it? And I said, well, yeah, I can do it. It'll take a while. I said, my ship's going to be in port here in San Diego, off and on for about 6 months, because we were home ported up north. He says, okay, so I gave him a price and didn't even bat an eye. So I got started, and as soon as I would knock off in the afternoon, I'd drive over to his yacht and sit there and tie, lay up sentence for the frame. And quite honestly, the frame, I wasn't as good then as I am now. But the frame, it was the border of this knot board. It was about 4 inches wide all the way around. And then I started tying the display knots. And I have to admit, I had to learn, because you fill up a 4x8 space, that takes a lot of knots, or big rope. So yeah, it took me about 6 months to finish it. Knot work, picture frame, and knot board for Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
Cool. So hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. Big doings, big stuff coming, and I'm going to do everything I can to document this process of making this Pentagon frame, what we're calling the Pentagon frame, to the very best of my ability, and it'll be documented for posterity, and hopefully will be of interest to those who watch this channel. We'll see you soon.